Hello, and welcome to this Argus Chemicals Conversation podcast, the second episode in our K-Show Plastics preview series. Today we will be discussing the PTI, the Polyethylene Transaction Index. I am your host, James Elliott, and I am joined by Terry Glass, Vice President Polymers. Hello, Terry. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much, James. Glad to be here.
Great. Now, I think the PTI is a great initiative, but for the benefit of some of our new contacts and listeners, can you provide an overview of the PTI and how is it determined?
Oh, certainly, yes. So the purpose of the PTI index is to provide an alternative price service that addresses changes in the export and domestic markets. Given that there's been a very large increase in polyethylene production in the U.S. over the past few years, and indeed, polyethylene reached a critical inflection point in 2024 with November exports exceeding domestic demand, a first in the history of polyethylene trade for the U.S. and Canada. This trend is going to continue as polyethylene domestic production is expected to grow further in 2025, with several of the newer plants continuing to increase operating rates going into 2026. This would include Shell's 1,500 KTA facility in Monaca, Pennsylvania, Nova's 450 KTA plant in Joffre, Ontario, and Bayport Polymer 625 KTA plant in Pasadena, Texas. Dow is also expected to start up its new 625 KTA solution polyethylene plant in Freeport, Texas in 2025 and 2026 as well. Given that domestic demand has increased only 7% from 2013 to 2024, and production has increased 53%, one can expect that 2025 and 2026 will be another year of oversupply and export volumes that will continue to exceed domestic sales volumes. So the Argus PTI index is actually a calculation price for ratable deliveries of prime resin in the domestic market on an ex-works railcar U.S. Gulf Coast basis. And this is without regard to any discounts or any other factors agreed between buyers and sellers. Each month, the price is calculated as an average of the relevant Argus FAS Houston export price for the month and the previous month's PTI weighted by the ratio of domestic and export sales volumes as reported by ACC, plus an offset value that aligns the revenue for producers implied by the modeled value with the revenue achieved by producers during a reference period. These indexes are calculated and made available to electronic subscribers on the first business day of the month.
Thanks, Terry. Now you've explained what the PTI is and how it works, can you provide some detail on who benefits from this alternative index?
We think that the primary beneficiaries are throughout the whole supply chain. So whether you're a resin producer, a converter, a brand owner, even investment institutions should all see benefits from this index. First of all, it does offer a price on the first business day of the month. So there's no need to reissue invoices that currently occur several days into the following month. There's no need to revise any prices. There's clear direction on price movements, and it's an unbiased price report. I think another key characteristic of the index is that it's split by resin type, meaning that there are prices reported for high density polyethylene, linear low density polyethylene, low density polyethylene. And because it is split by resin type, it allows for better market differentiation for the resin producers, allows for segmented purchasing by the converters, better clarity on export price movements for the brand owners, and it's a more granular level of market price and demand on exports for investment institutions.
Not having to reissue invoices must be a major benefit. That's a significant time saving for buyers and sellers, I imagine.
And it avoids a lot of confusion.
Yeah, I bet. Why else should a buyer or seller care about the PTI index?
Well, as we considered the U.S. domestic market prices, we had several objectives in mind. First, we wanted to publish on the first business day of the month to facilitate billing for buyers and sellers. We wanted a methodology that is transparent and not subject to bias from either sellers or buyers. We also believe that now is the time to report prices for each of the major polyethylene families, high density, linear low, and low density, given that there are differences in export and price movements occurring in today's markets. The focus is, of course, on prime resin transactions on a ratable basis for mid-tier buyers. Thus, we are looking for an alternative option that offers the market a unique and representation of the ongoing trades. We investigated a variety of approaches looking at feedstock cost, inventory levels, operating rates, etc., and we found a strong correlation between spot and contract price movements, with spot price movements a 30-day leading indicator on contract price movements. We evaluated this approach with a number of resin producers, converters, and distributors, and confirmed that this methodology was representative of price movements. Of particular interest was that this methodology was not impacted by non-market adjustments. So in essence, the index offers a neutral, transparent, and non-biased view of the domestic prices. As domestic PE values are indirectly impacted by export prices, meaning that events in the export markets can push prices up or down. Now, it's also important to note that this is not an index designed to replace or displace alternative price report services. This index reports changes on a month-to-month basis. You'll see a much more granular level of price movements of 1 to 2 cents a month. And for example, in July, when the market was reported as up 3 on contract basis, the PTI index was flat. And indeed, it did turn out that that 3-cent price increase that was announced for July did not hold. And the majority of the buyers were able to get that price back down to almost levels of flat. So the PTI index is indeed, we believe, a very good way of looking at trends, whether it's for internal benchmarking purposes or for contract negotiation purposes.
Excellent, Terry. Thank you.
Thank you as well. It is a pleasure. Bye-bye.
If you would like to find out more about the PTI and receive our monthly PTI updates, please visit the Argus PTI webpage. If you would like to discuss the PTI with Terry and the team at K-Show, please get in contact. Join us next time for episode 4 of the K-Show Plastics Preview by Argus Chemicals Conversation, where we'll be discussing PVC. Thank you and goodbye.